guys, I am not painting today. I'm going to do a beginner's shopping list for people who want to get started with acrylic pouring and just want to know what they need to have on hand to do their first pour. Or maybe if you've done a couple pours and you want some more options on what to add to your paint, this might be a good thing for you to watch too. I see this question asked over and over and over on the Facebook pages for people who haven't started yet or just started. And it's a great place to ask these questions because you have access to thousands of people all willing to answer questions and help out. But it's a little bit like asking a group of a few thousand chili cook-off contestants for a shopping list to go and make your first pot of chili, and you're going to get as many answers as there are people answering your question, and you might leave a little bit confused as to what purpose everything serves, you know, and trying to take, you know, a whole bunch of answers and whittle it down to a simple shopping list. So I thought I would do that. This isn't going to be about my recipe or what I use, although I will let you know what I use and what I don't use, just so that you can ask questions if you want about the things I do use. But it's mostly just going to be, I'm hungry, we'll use another food analogy, basically like a Subway menu. Pick your bread, pick your cheese, pick your meat. So I'm going to give you all your bread options, all your cheese options, all your meat options, and then you can pick one from each category and go. That doesn't mean you're going to love what you pick the first time. It may take a little bit to get the perfect combination for you, because what works for one person doesn't always work for the other. I see that a lot. I tried so-and-so's recipe, it's not working like it worked for them, and it doesn't mean you did something wrong. It doesn't mean you mixed it wrong or you added too much of this or not enough of this. It may just not be the mix that works for whatever look you're going for, whatever feel you're going for. Everybody's tap water is a little bit different. You know, lots of variables play into it. So don't ever think that you failed or you're doing something wrong if you do something that looks like you're doing it exactly like somebody else and your results are different. I'm going to be doing a collaboration coming up. If you'd like to see that, you can subscribe, and that'll be coming up soon. But we're all going to be doing the same thing and see all the different results. And I guarantee you our results are going to be completely different, even though we're doing the same process. So that's my first piece of advice that I wasn't even planning on putting advice in here. But don't ever feel like you failed just because it doesn't look like such and such. And if your goal is to have it look a certain way, then you just kind of work towards that. And that's also a great place to go to the Facebook page if you're a member of one and say, this is the process I used, this is the look I was going for, this process didn't work for me, does anybody know how I can tweak it? So, sorry, there you go. Now we're going to stay on track. Okay, the first thing you need if you're going to paint is something to paint on. So there's our first category. The easiest, most obvious would be a canvas. Most canvases you're going to buy from Hobby Lobby, Michael's, wherever, are going to be pre-gessoed. So open and go, easy peasy. They're not expensive. I mean, they can get expensive, but, you know, the basic ones are not expensive. So, you know, they come in these small canvases also. You know, this was $2.99 for a pack of 2, so a lot of people I see paint on records. If you have a bunch of old records that aren't worth anything sitting around, you don't even have to go out and buy anything. MDF is another thing I see a lot of people use. I haven't tried it yet. I want to, but I just haven't. I do see varying opinions. Some people say 1/4 inch MDF warps. Some people say they haven't had any problem with it warping, so just be aware of that. 1/2 inch seems to be a pretty safe option. 3/4 inch MDF, and you're getting a bit heavy. And I've been told that Lowe's and Home Depot and those places will cut it for you to whatever size you want. UFO paper is another one I haven't tried, but a lot of people love to paint on. I have used multimedia paper. I started out using that a lot when I was just trying to figure out my ratios and just how it worked, my first few pours. I think I did a couple on canvas, and then I had some mixed media paper. sitting around. So I thought, you know, I'll pour on that, and then, you know, if it ends up in the trash, it ends up in the trash. You can also frame them if you really like them. And I also have some ceramic tiles in the garage from the last owner of the house. I've painted on those. I don't do anything to prep them. I just wipe them off since they've been in the garage and paint on those. So, you know, you're pretty open as far as that. If you don't want to put any money into anything when you're first starting, just see what you have around the house that you can paint on. Paint. Obviously, you need to paint. So this is our second category, paint. You can use craft paint. I use plenty of craft paint from Walmart and Hobby Lobby. Just regular old wool tubes of paint. I've used student body acrylics and professional grade acrylics. This is from Nova Color. You know, they're all great. Some people use house paint. I have some. I just haven't gotten it out to use it yet. You know, but a lot of people go and shop their mist tints that they have real cheap, or buy some samples in the colors they really want to use, and that's the plus of that is, where's my little craft paint? You know, you go and look at the craft paint here, these like apple barrels and such, and Hobby Lobby has all these huge range of colors. And so that's another advantage to the house paint. You can get larger quantities if you're going to be doing a lot of it. But this is a great place to start. I still use a lot of craft paint. So there's your paint. There's your category. Sorry, I'm trying to figure out next. Okay, water. You need to get the paint to a pourable state, so you will need water. Even if you're going to use a medium to mix in with the paint, you will still always need, usually, I don't think I've ever mixed without any water, a little bit of water. So, excuse me, I don't have my water sitting here. I usually keep my water in a condiment bottle where I paint, and that way I can add just a little bit at a time as I mix. You can use just paint and water and pour with that. That works just fine. You will see, if you're on the Facebook pages, some differing opinions on quality of using just paint and water, but it is an option. A lot of people do it. I have done it. I have quite a few that are just paint and water. So that's option number one, is just paint and water, and go. The third category, if you want to add a medium to your water, and the point of the medium is to bring that paint to a pourable state without adding too much water, and they also have their own properties that affect the flow of the paint a little bit, not a ton. So with each one, you're sort of going to get a little different feel. But there are advantages to having a medium. The adhesion to the canvas, or you know, whatever you're pouring on, is going to be better because of the acrylic binders in the mediums that are also in the paint that will help it bind to the canvas, as opposed to, you know, maybe years go by and it starts flaking off a little bit. So also for those people who want cells, it's another thing. I don't have any problem getting cells with just paint and water. Some people do. I think it probably depends on the water and the paint you're using. So I know some people have better results with the medium. So I don't want to get too detailed because it's supposed to be just a shopping list. So, but your first option under mediums would be Liquitex pouring medium. This is a really good option. Very expensive, and over the last several months it's gotten extremely hard to find. I mean, this was $15.99 for 8 ounces. I got it at my local Hobby Lobby. So it's definitely a pricey option, and you know, you'll be lucky to find it. So Golden has a product, if you know, the Golden line of paints that you can. I don't have this at my Hobby Lobby. It's the only option I have in my town for shopping for art supplies. So you might have a better store, or you can get it online. But Golden makes, it has a GAC series, GAC And GAC 800 by Golden would work just as well as pouring medium. It's going to be in the same price range as Liquitex pouring medium. And your third option that I know of, there may be some more out there that are going to be in your professional artist line of mediums, is Nova Color. This is 235. They also make a 233 that is also appropriate for pouring. Karen Goodrich, who has a YouTube channel, she actually lives close enough to Nova Color that she goes in and buys it there. And they told her that the only difference between 235 and 233 is 235 is a little thinner. And I got this quart for... Oh, got my price sheet. I have the other sheet, but it was under 20 for this big container. Where you're comparing them to Liquitex, which was $15.99 for 8 ounces. They're just a small paint company. They manufacture their own. Shipping's a little bit expensive, but if you really want an artist quality product, this is a really great option. I wonder if you can see that. I can see right through it, but the light is not, light's in front of me. But you probably can hear it. I'm not painting today, so I'm not going to worry about bubbles. But that one, this is 235. It is very thin. And if you can see, here I'll pour a little, or I'll peel a little bit off the edge of the bottle. That was probably too small to see. But it's completely clear. Has a little bit of a gloss to it. So when it dries a little bit glossy. But this says fluid extender and medium, and I believe in here it says this one is like skim milk. And I've used that, and I've been happy with that. So there's your artist quality options. Not that the other options aren't just as good. I'm just letting you know if you want to stay in that artist line of products. PVA glue. I've used PVA glue. A lot of people like PVA glue. It wasn't my favorite, but you know, that means absolutely nothing to other people. So in the United States, it is Elmer's Glue All, not the washable, but the Glue All. You can get it by the gallon at Hobby Lobby, probably other craft stores. Out of the United States, from what I understand, it's called PVA glue. You can also find it under Bookbinder's glue. And Bookbinder's glue is going to show that it is archival and acid-free. Elmer's has a little bit of an acid on the scale. I've read that it dries to a neutral pH, so I'm not going to get into all that. People love Elmer's glue. That's not my problem with it. I just didn't care for the way my paintings were turning out. But PVA glue is very, very popular to use as a medium. So, and it's easy to get, and you can get it very cheaply. You know, inexpensively. You can get it like the little bottles in the school section at Walmart for next to nothing. So it's a great place to start. Floetrol paint conditioner. I love this stuff personally. But this is, you can get other brands paint conditioner. This was at Lowe's. It's for indoor and outdoor latex paint, and it's supposed to, I think the purpose it says is to reduce brush strokes. It's pretty thin too. It's probably similar consistency to Nova Color, but it's not, I don't know. They flow. The paint flows differently with the two of them. I mean, they're similar in consistency, but they do quite a bit different things to the paint. But yes, eliminates brush and roller marks. But oh, this is also self-leveling. It improves leveling. Nova Color, I believe, is self-leveling. Pouring medium is self-leveling. I imagine PVA glue is also. So they're all going to be equal there. But anyway, Floetrol, just shake it. I know I said I was worried about bubbles with the Nova Color. This doesn't, I've never had any trouble with bubbles, but it separates. So don't pour it into your paint without shaking it up first. Oh, and I've seen, the one other thing I've seen people use is Mod Podge, and I haven't really followed any of the conversations about it. So I think they mix the Mod Podge with water before they add it to the paint, and then add more water to get it. I'm not sure. But I know a lot of people use Mod Podge. So if you have some on hand, that might be worth looking into a little bit. So paint, if you're just using paint and water, add your paint and your water, get it to heavy cream, half and half consistency. If you're using a medium, the way I do it, I always add my paint and my medium, and then add my water to get it to the right consistency. I always do the water last. As far as ratio of paint to medium goes, that's all over the board also. I can do a mixing video if anybody's interested. Let me know, and I can do mixing. I could even compare Floetrol. I might do that. Ooh, sorry. I might do that anyway. Compare Floetrol and Nova Color. That might be a good experiment. But let me know if there's anything else I have. I do have PVA glue also. So if there's anything I have that you're curious about, let me know. Ask questions. One other thing I'm going to say about the mediums and the water and the consistency real quick is if you do see a recipe that somebody else uses and you want to try it because you like the effects they're getting, and you try it and you think you've done it exactly like theirs and it's not coming out the same, just be aware that there's lots of variables between paints, even within a paint brand and the paint colors. We all have different waters, different chemicals in our different chemicals in our water. You know, the temperature of the water might be different. I mean, people are using the same thing and getting totally different results. So it doesn't mean you did something wrong. It doesn't mean, you know, you failed or you did something that wasn't right and you need to go back and fix it. Maybe the chemistry or the mix-up of what you have just isn't working. And, you know, that happens a lot. So just go back and play with your recipe if you're finding you're not getting the results you want. Try a different medium. Try less medium. Try more paint. Try a little less water. You know, you kind of have to play with it a little bit. Unfortunately, if you make a pot of chili, you can taste it as you go and move on. You can do some test pours. I will link to a really great video on how to do some test pours. It's not really a pour, but testing how the paint's going to interact with each other by Cris Cross. If you want to watch that, I'm going to do one similar because I think it's the best paint testing video on YouTube that I've seen. So, real quick, paint, all kinds of paint, something to paint on, and your mediums options are pouring medium from Liquitex, GAC 800 from Golden, Nova Color, PVA glue, Floetrol, possibly Mod Podge. Okay, that is that, and that's pretty much, oh, one other thing that you might add to your paint, a lot of people use silicone. I sometimes use silicone. This is the kind I have. It's Blaster lubricant. I got it at Lowe's. They have a gazillion different kinds. Some people have a favorite. Some people have found some that don't work for them. This is the only kind I've tried. I usually don't want a painting full of cells, so I haven't gone out and tried a whole bunch of kinds. Treadmill oil is really popular. I see lots of positive results with that. Different sprays. There's a 3-in-1 silicone oil that you can get at the hardware store that drips out. You don't want a whole lot in your paint. I do usually 1 squirt, or I squirt this into a cup and use a pipette to do a couple drops. And you can do it in every color. You can do it in every color but one. That's another popular way to do it. You can do it in one color. You can do it in, you know, your colors and leave your black and white, however you want to do it. The other option, if you like silicone, is dimethicone, and it is a good option because these have some warnings on them, skin contact and breathing, so If you want something that's a little less toxic or non-toxic, hair products actually have dimethicone as a second ingredient, third ingredient in a lot of them, and people are having great results using hair products. L'Oreal's one that keeps coming up a lot. So like the hair shine products, I'm not sure what all people are using, but if you go and you look like at hair shine extra hair products, not shampoos, but the little bottles of oils and stuff, if dimethicone is second or third ingredient, try it out. You might love what it does. And those can be added to your paint as well. Those are just to get the cells and the paint interact a little bit differently, because you're adding an oil to a water-based product with, you know, that's mixed with water, and so you're adding the oil, and it's just going to cause reactions. And that's it as far as what goes in the paint. So real quick, for your, if you know, want a complete list, you're going to need some cups, something to mix in, baby food jars, if you have them laying around. I save pretty much everything. Yogurt containers, pickle jars. Pickle jars are kind of hard. I have one saved, but it has the narrow lid, so I'm thinking, I don't know. It's just all kinds of containers. If I have any left of my colors, I let all of them drip into one cup, unless I want to save some of the paint, which I do that also, and I'll show you that in a minute. But if there's hardly any, I let it dry, and as long as it's dry, I can mix my next color in here. Some people rinse their cups, but I don't want my paint going down the drain for lots of reasons. Most hazmat places will say to let it dry and throw it away, rather than rinse it down the drain. It also can clog your pipes and your drains. But if you're using a medium, this is, I pulled this off of my little scoop that I use this to get the Nova Color medium out. The gallon, I guess, comes pourable, but the quart does not. So you see this skin. First of all, it shows you how clear the Nova Color is and shiny. But if I get this, you know, on my cup mixed with the paint, that's going down my drain. I don't want that going down my drain. So I let it dry and use it again. If I have enough left, I want to save it. I put my gloves on the cup, and I save it for another time. And I do use gloves partially because of this. I don't want that stuck to my hands or going down the drain when I wash my hands. Plus I use sometimes a silicone. I just really don't want it on my hands all the time. So I do wear gloves. And I use them again as lids. Or I wipe them off on a paper towel and use them again. Straws, you can use a straw to blow the paint around. I use those quite a bit, so I always have straws on hand. Oh, one other thing about keeping paint. I also mix sometimes in a condiment bottle. If it's a color I know I'm going to use for several pours, I will boil the water, and this one is mixed with PVA glue and water, and I've had this for months, and it's still pourable, you know, in great condition. So if you want to mix, like I sometimes have white. I almost always have white. I do not have white mixed right now. I'll mix, you know, colors I use a lot and keep them in condiment bottles. This is a crazy big torch. I sent my husband to get a little torch, and like a creme brulee kitchen torch, and he went to Lowe's and came back with this. But a lot of people use a torch to get cells when they've done painted. I need a nap or something, food. But once the paint's on the canvas after they've poured, they go over it with a torch to bring up the cells. That is completely optional. You know, you do not need to have one of those. So, real quick, just to finish up, you need something to paint, not on canvas-wise, but because this is messy, you know, you're going to want your paint to go over the edges, so it's going to drip off your canvas. So you need something to catch that paint, so you're not making mess. When I first started, I was using smaller canvases. I used a lid from a tote. This one's bent a little bit, so it does not work as well anymore, but as long as it's flat, I usually rested them on this edge was big enough. If not, I put something on it like, well, not a cup, but you know, something small, and then put my canvas on top so it could drip off. And these work really well. The paint peels off really easily if you want to keep it. And it has a lip. I see a lot of people who are either neater than me or braver than me just putting like a piece of plastic down on their counters or their tables and pouring on that. I like to have a lip to catch the paint because, I don't know, maybe I'm messier than everybody else, or maybe I'm just, you know, not as brave, because I usually don't have a ton, but there have been times when I have more paint coming out off the canvas than other times, and I don't want it coming off a counter or a table and onto the floor. So pizza boxes would be great for that. If you have a pizza box, I know my mom crafts, and she asked a pizza company, a local one, if she could purchase some large pizza boxes for something she was doing, and they gave them to her. But those have a lip most of the way around them, so you know, if you can get some large pizza boxes, that would be a great option. I use a shower curtain. They're about 99 cents at Walmart to line my box. I'm going to show you real quick my setup, and then we'll let you go. This is where I paint right now. I'm sort of on the floor, but it works for me. I have this big box. We bought a piece of furniture, and it came in this big box. I've lined it with the shower curtain. I keep everything I need in the box. And I paint right here. I have baby food jars right now to put my canvas on. And then I have my canvas on the I mean, not balanced real well, but you get the idea. That I balance it on there, and then the paint can drip off. I can tilt and put it back on the baby food jars. I've used, you know, here's a baby food container. Dixie cups do not work because they get wet from the paint, and then they lose their stability, and, you know, painting will fall. But that's what I'm using currently. And shower curtains are great because if you want to keep the paint peels off. Let me find a spot here. Well, there you can see when I move the baby food jar. The paint peels off really easily, and you can keep it to add to paintings, to make a, you know, some art with just the paintings, the peelings. I had some ideas for jewelry. I just haven't quite perfected it yet. But, you know, sometimes you get some really, pretty skins from that that you can save, or you can throw away if you don't want. But as long as I keep peeling it off, I can continue to use this shower curtain. Obviously, if I have too much buildup, it will make it unstable and unlevel. But until I get a hole in it, I use the same shower curtain. And I think that's it. Oh, one more little thing is a kitchen scale. I usually weigh mine out if I'm using Nova Color medium, just because I like to be a little more exact with that, because it does seem to affect the flow more than Floetrol. I can eyeball it and always seem to get a good outcome. So if you want to be precise, especially when you're testing it out, a kitchen scale is great to have. So I think that's it. Any questions, let me know in the comments. I have some great things coming up. I'm doing a collaboration with some other artists, so if you want to see what's coming up, subscribe. And in the meantime, happy pouring!